The Asari are one of the most interesting species in Mass Effect, mainly because they are one of the most accomplished ones. They were the first ones to master faster-than-light travel, they were the first ones to find a citadel, they are incredibly intelligent, every single one of them has potential for biotics, they have the single largest economy in the galaxy, they live longer than any other race in Mass Effect, save maybe the Krogan, they are the most respected in the galaxy, they have, or had, the biggest, most powerful ship in the universe, and they are all girls. Maybe this is conclusive evidence that a whole race of girls would be superior to any other kind. Maybe this means that diplomacy does better than sheer muscle brawn, or maybe we're missing something. Actually, scratch that, since I should explain, Asari don't actually see themselves as females, since the concept of a sex and a gender doesn't quite make sense in their culture, a culture where everyone basically looks the same. But how do they reproduce then? Not asexually at least, and that's why they are so interesting. Let's talk about the famous Asari reproductive system. So let's start with the basics of what even is an Asari, at least from a biological standpoint. They are definitely the closest to humans that you will find in Citadel space, basically sharing most of the factors that compose a human body.
This isn't as bad as I'd feared. It's actually... Is it warm in here?
Okay, you see that bit there?
The little divot in her abdomen?
It's called a belly button. Humans and Asari have them, and you're gonna be doing shots out of it later tonight.
That can't be sanitary.
Not the point, man.
I can understand why I might find Asari attractive, but how can they be attractive to humans too? They look just like Solarians.
What? They look exactly like us. I'm not seeing the Solarian thing at all. At all.
You're both wrong. Asari look just like Bluturians. Look at the head fringe.
Wait, you don't think they're like mind controlling us to see them as attractive, do you?
Please be quiet. You're going to ruin Asari for me. And there aren't many Turian women on Ilium.
They have navels in their stomach, they have breasts that grow as they age, their actual skeleton is very similar to ours, including 5 digits on their fingers and toes, they have butts, which surprisingly is kind of rare in this galaxy, and their voice and mannerisms are very similar to a human female in most regards. To summarize that, they are so similar to us that they can virtually wear our clothes, which is not the case for 99% of the species in this galaxy, and that says a lot. I mean, look at some of these skeletons. These are the real aliens. The interesting thing though might be, what do they actually have different than us, since they already look so similar? First off, many Asari share different face markings, something similar to what birthmarks would be for us. The difference is that for them, they are very pronounced, and sometimes they form cool and recognizable shapes that can be used to tell them apart from one another. In place of head hair, the Asari possess semi-flexible cartilage-based scalp crests that grow into shape. These head structures are actually rigid and don't flop like tentacles would. The most important difference between our two races though is their biotic potential. Hell, it's not even about potential, but just about reality. The fact that their entire culture, reproductive system, and even military is based on the power and abilities of being a biotic. If you want to know more about what even means to be a biotic and how it happens to people, how you can create one and all that, check out my video on mass accelerators where I touch on this. In any case, the planet where the Asari come from, Thessia, is rich in element 0, and every single creature born and raised in this planet is basically molded and transformed by it. They have so much of this stuff that they even eat it in their food. It's insane. My point is, in this culture, if you don't practice your biotic potential, then you don't even make it into the military, and if for some reason you refuse to use your biotic power at all, then reproduction becomes impossible for you. Psychic powers are so ingrained in their evolution that they even rely on it for the most basic of animal behaviors, reproduction. Of course, the older you get, the more powerful these powers become, but that's not the point of this video. Now that we know how different they are from us, how does sex actually happen? Well, it is complicated. Complicated because they don't have sex in the way that we understand it to be. In fact, there doesn't even need to be any touching. They have what I would refer to as psychic sex. Let me go ahead and explain how that works.
I can transfer the knowledge from my mind to yours, as I did with Saren. Try to relax, Commander. Slow, deep breaths. Let go of your physical shell. Reach out to grasp the threads that bind us, one to another. Every action sends ripples across the galaxy. Every idea must touch another mind to live. Each emotion must mark another's spirit. We are all connected. Every living being united in a single glorious existence. Open yourself to the universe, Commander. Embrace eternity.
The Asari have an ability they called Melding. During a melding, the Asari can consciously join nervous systems with her partner, sending and receiving electrical impulses directly through their skin, though again, touching or any form of contact is not actually theoretically needed, though definitely preferred. During the melding, the Asari and the partner briefly become unified in their nervous system, sharing memories and thoughts and feelings. During this exchange, the Asari grabs a copy of her gene and basically modifies it with evolutionary traits from the father. Now, don't have this confused with the Asari actually obtaining a gene from the father, which is not the case.
Why are the two of you on a break?
He's serious. Serious, as in talking about kids. Char is a great guy to date, but for something permanent... Krogans live long lives. It's not like dating a human where you just stick it out for a century till they die. No offense. It made me wonder if he really likes me, or if he just wants kids. He can't have them any other way, you know, because of the genophage.
That sounds like the question you should ask him.
I did. I don't think he realized that our kids would always have been Asari. Non-Asari don't always get that we're not taking alien DNA, we're just using it to randomize some of the genetic information.
No genes from the father ever make it into the Asari or the child. That is why the child will always be another Asari. All the melding does is find good traits from the gene pool of the father, read them, see what could be potentially good for the child, and basically use that information as a map to randomize her own gene pool. In essence, the child will always have two genes from the mother Asari, one that is unaltered and one that has been cleverly mixed. The cool part about this reproductive process is that it can be used on virtually any race in the galaxy. Any Asari can have a baby with a Krogan or a human or a Turian, regardless of whether the partner is male or female. This created some very powerful cultural changes within the race once they figured this out. Before the time they discovered how to fly in space and all that, they would simply reproduce between one another like one would think, but after they realized they could melt with any other race, a strong religious movement rose up. A religious movement that basically propagated the idea that they were all one, that the universe is a conscious entity and that when we die, we all join together in a collective consciousness. The other big cultural change was the idea that reproduction between themselves was useless and wasteful. Since reproduction for an Asari means reading up on someone else's DNA and taking the best traits out of them for your child, then logic would dictate that there is only so much you can learn from your own people. An Asari child can probably obtain so much better traits from a human than from another Asari. Imagine this. What would create a more balanced and strong gene pool? 2 Asari genes or 1 Asari gene and 1 Turian gene? That's basically the attitude from most of the Asari and why it is frowned upon to have sex with your own kind. It is frowned upon in such a magnitude that the greatest insult one can issue to an Asari is to call them purebloods. A pureblood is a child of an Asari couple, basically meaning that you are a waste to the race and you're not contributing to the gene evolution. Kind of like the stigma that a human inbred might have. This is enhanced by the fact that there is an incredibly dangerous DNA mutation that can happen to a pureblood, though not quite as a human inbred would get. This pureblood genetic mutation is called Ardat Yakshi, and it basically empowers the nervous system and the biotic tendencies of the Asari. Doesn't sound so bad, doesn't it? Well, the problem is that it empowers it by sacrificing others.
She is an Ardat Yakshi. It is a term from a dead Asari dialect. It means demon of the night winds. But that is mythology. She is simply a very dangerous woman who kills without mercy.
So is an Undaunted a special kind of murderer?
Morin suffers a rare genetic disorder. When she mates with you, there is no gentle melding of nervous systems. She overpowers yours, burns it out, hemorrhages your brain. You end up a mindless shell, and soon after, you are dead.
It is basically a sexually transmitted disease, but without the transmitted part. A pureblood with this genetic deformity kills any who they try and have sex with, though more specifically, they kill any they try to meld with. It seems that when they join nervous systems with a partner, the nervous system of the Undaunted overpowers the mate, causing hemorrhaging in the victim's brain and death. The interesting twist to this is that while the overpowering is happening, the mind of the victim can be dominated and sometimes even controlled. And what makes this truly bad is that this process of domination and sex becomes addictive to the Undaunted, wanting more and never feeling satiated, like a vampire going from prey to prey. And every single time a death is collected through the style of sex, the Undaunted becomes more powerful, almost as if it absorbs the essence of the mate and consumes it for more power. The compulsion to mate also grows stronger and stronger after each encounter, making this extremely dangerous. And like I was saying, this is also one of the many reasons why an Asari mating with one of their own is frowned upon, for it seems like the chance for this genetic deformity to happen is cataclysmically higher when two Asari mate than with any other race. There is also no way to tell if you are an Undaunted until you have your first sexual experience, of course after your mate dies. But whenever one is found, it is given one of two choices: either immediate execution or a peaceful life in isolation. In conclusion, an Asari is not truly a female as much as it is not a male or any other type of gender. They possess female qualities and bodies since they all have the ability to become mothers, to give birth and raise a child. The reason they have female-sounding titles like Huntress or Matriarch is merely a translation adaptation. Basically the same reason they call themselves daughters or use the she pronoun. It simply makes it easier on the rest of us when it comes to communication. Most Asari do not mind being called females, but some prefer the male pronoun and others simply wish to be called gender-neutral pronouns when applicable. I should also say before I go that melding does not inherently means sex. You can meld with a friend or with a family member and it is not considered weird or awkward. In fact, it is very often done in their culture to signify a close relationship with kin. So when Shepard went around the first Mass Effect and melded with a few Asari, it didn't mean that his seed was being stolen by thirsty aliens. It's just a nice way to convey information that might not be easy to convey using words. That being said, actual sexual melding seems to be very similar to what a human would call sex, as we can see from some good old-fashioned Shepard and Asari romance. Now guys, unfortunately YouTube ad revenue is not enough to keep the channel going, so if you would like to help out keep these videos flowing, then please head on over to patreon.com/MrRhexx and help us out in any way you can, just like Alex Fitchie, Toby Oliver, and Dylan Baker did. Have a good day, you guys, and see you all soon.
And he says, oh, it's okay. Our amino acids are all different, so it's not like we can get diseases or anything if we go natural.
I'm telling you, this is why you shouldn't date humans.
So then I had to explain about cross-species fluid contact. Completely killed the mood.
Not to mention that you're a Quarian. How could he be so insensitive? You deserve somebody who respects you. Somebody who's going to treat you right.
Oh, I think I'm just going to stop dating for a while.
No, don't do that. Don't let some human spoil you.
It's always the same thing. Ooh, she could get sick. She's vulnerable. I wonder what she looks like under the helmet.
You'll find someone out there who cares about you for who you are. Someone whose food you can eat, even.